All right, and a new national education policy that is going to be unveiled. It has been approved by the Union Cabinet, and of course, this new policy that has been designed after 8 sittings. The Home Minister, of course, was closely involved with this new national education policy and has had as many as 8 sittings in which clearly the national education policy has been discussed. Joining us now for more on this are former ISRO Chief K. Kasturirangan, who had submitted the draft of the new NEP to the Union HRD Minister when he took charge last year. Sir, let me begin by asking you, sir, take us through the new education policy. What are its key features and how really will the policy change India's education system, or how does it at least hope to do that? Mr. Kasturirangan.
Thank you. First of all, I should say that it's a very momentous decision that the government has taken today with regard to going for a new educational policy based on the committee's draft report, which was submitted to the government after nearly a 2-year deliberations and also reviewing the work that has been done earlier by DSR Subramaniam committee, and also reviewing the unfinished agenda of the 1986, 1992, as well as probably even earlier, the 1968 policies. The present policy provides an integrated and but it's a flexible approach to education. Further, it has kept the interconnectedness of the various phases of education in mind, and have the same will enable the continuity, coherence, and processes to ultimately realize an end-to-end educational roadmap for the country. So this is broadly the approach that we have adopted with respect to this policy. The important features of this particular policy, as distinct from the previous one, of course, one should realize things have changed much between the last 30 years. In the first earlier policy was formulated. There have been social changes, economic changes, cultural changes. The systems across the world have undergone major transformations, and these have all influenced the educational approach that we had to address in trying to formulate a new policy, which also, at that time, the then Education Minister, Sri Javadekar ji, told us that it should be valid for 20 years. So
right.
Also the necessity to look at this particular policy in the context of its utility and validity for the next 2 decades. This is the most important aspect of the policy. So far the features of the policies are concerned, the first and most important thing to start with is the school education. The current school education, which is a 10+2 kind of a formula, now have been replaced by a 5+3+3+4 formula, which essentially means that we have taken into account a new studies that has come in the cognitive science with respect to many other aspects of neural sciences and so on.
Right. Mr. Kasturirangan, sir, one of the most important aspects is increasing the ambit. Earlier, the right to education had brought in the fact that there would be free and compulsory education between the ages of 6 to 14 years. Now we understand that the ambit has been widened from 3 to 18 years. This is very, very significant because it would include early education and in fact secondary education as well. Mr. Kasturirangan, sir, can you hear me? All right, I think we've lost that line there with Mr. Kasturirangan. We will try and reconnect with him, but very significant over here, the new national policy on education that is being unveiled after a gap of about 3 decades. Very significant development there coming in. We're slipping into a quick break. More updates coming up in just a few moments. Stay tuned.